In 1826, Captain William Morgan had exposed the activities of the Illuminati in public opinion, and in front of his fellow Freemasons. He had to pay for this with his own soul. The Illuminati had convened a meeting at which the death sentence was passed on Morgan, because he had attacked their group and exposed their dangers. They assigned one of their own, Englishman Richard Howard, to carry out the death sentence. Because of the warnings of his friends, Morgan was able to hide for a while. Then he tried to go to Canada, but Howard kept an eye on him and followed him, until he managed to kill him at the border. At the inquest, a man named Theory Allen gave evidence in which he stated that he heard Howard giving a report at a meeting of a secret society in New York, called the Temple Cavalry, in which he explained how he carried out the death sentence. This witness also stated how Howard was sent to England to escape reprisals. His murder had such a profound effect on the psyche of the members of Freemasonry that 40% of those in North America withdrew from membership and severed all ties with the society. Important Illuminati group meetings. In 1829, the Illuminati group held a congress in New York, where one of them, an Englishman named Wright, spoke. He announced that the Illuminati had decided to accept the amalgamation of nihilists and atheists, as well as members of other destructive groups, all of whom would be combined in an international organization, called the Communists. The birth of communism. The purpose of these destructive forces was to clear the way for the Illuminati group to wage war and revolution in the future. While Clinton Roosevelt, who was Franklin Roosevelt's father, as well as Horace Greeley and Charles Dava, were all trying hard to raise money to put forward a new plan of thought. It was from this money that Karl Marx and Engels continued to live in the Soho area of London, as they both focused on researching and writing Das Kapital and Communist Manifesto, with orders from the destructive forces. The birth of the theory of Aryan racial superiority. At the same time, another section of the Illuminati group had given Prof. Karl Reiter of the University of Frankfurt the task of preparing a theory that could oppose communism. This theory said that it was possible for the Aryan race to rule the European continent and thereafter rule the entire world. This theory was later refined by the philosopher Friedrich Wilhelm Nietzsche, and this is where the philosophy of the Nazi Party came from. The goals of both theories. The aim that the Illuminati had in mind with the assignment they gave to Marx and Reiter to prepare the two conflicting theories, one of which aimed at internationalism and the other at the superiority of one race over the other races of mankind, so that it could eventually rule the whole world, was to bring about a struggle between the followers of the two theories, which would eventually destroy one of them. This, in turn, will decimate and destroy one of the nations of the world. This is exactly what happened in World War II. Pike's story. In 1840, an American general named Albert Pike had begun a new stage in his life, after he accepted Mazzini's principles of internationalism and what he wanted for the world. He was so passionate about these principles that he became the greatest thinker of the Illuminati and the overseer of their destructive plans. List of important figures. 1. Karl Heinrich Marx 1818-1864, a German of Jewish origin, was expelled from Germany and France because of his revolutionary fervor. Britain gave him the right of refuge. In 1848, he published the Communist Manifesto. 2. Engius 1829-1895, German, friend of Marx, and co-author with him of the Holy Family, Communist Manifesto, and published Marx's Das Kapital after his death. 3. Reiter 1799-1859, German, professor of history, earth science, and political science at the University of Frankfurt, and later at the University of Berlin. 4. Albert Pike, a famous Freemason, born in 1809 and died in 1891. He was a clever poet, as well as the author of Morality and Belief, which he published in 1871, in which he brought out the deep insights of the formulas of the highest degrees in Freemasonry. Pike organizes Freemasonry. Pike noticed that the Illuminati and the Great Eastern Councils had begun to be doubted and suspected throughout Europe because of the havoc they had caused. He therefore felt obliged to take on a new task and organize Freemasonry on new Masonic foundations. He established 3 supreme councils, which he called Balladia, 1 in Charleston in the state of South Carolina in the United States, 2 in Rome, and 3 in Berlin. Each of these councils contained 23 branches scattered in strategic places in the world. Since then, these councils have been the secret centers of the general leadership of the international revolutionary movement, and this is still the case today. Among Pike's plans, between 1859 and 1871, General Pike prepared a plan to wage 3 world wars and 3 great revolutions, all of which were destined to occur in the 20th century. The basis of his plans were 3 international movements, viz., communism, Nazism, and Zionism. He also adhered to other international movements, with the aim of waging the wars and revolutions he had anticipated. He considered that the purpose of World War was to overthrow the Tsarist system in Russia and make the country a bastion of communism. The aim of World War II was to increase the political power of Zionism so that it could establish the State of Israel in Palestine. Likewise, it supports international communism so that it can develop into a force that can balance the Gregorian world. Meanwhile, World War III aims to bring the world to a state of total helplessness in the life of thought, spirituality, and economy, in addition to the destruction of human beings throughout the world. These wars cannot be waged except by making certain preparations in advance, which preparations Pike has determined in a meticulous plan. The preparation for World War I was to exploit the dissension between Britain and Germany that the Group of Light had caused in both countries. The preparations for World War II will be the clash between fascism, which includes both fascism and Nazism, and the political Zionism movement, and will end with the destruction of the former as planned. Whereas the preparations for World War III will be a fight waged by the people of light between political Zionism and the leaders of the Islamic world, in which one will destroy the other. In this fight must participate other world countries that feel themselves drawn to one of the poles of the fight. Documents supporting the goal of World War III. Among the many documents about this plan, we present to our beloved readers, and we select a document in the form of a letter dated August 10, 1871, written by Pike, in which the purpose of World War III is explained. This letter is kept in the British Museum in London. The letter says, "We shall give free rein to the destructive atheist and nihilist movements. We shall endeavor to create a total tragedy for mankind, in which will be clearly evident its uninterrupted cruelty to every nation. As a result of absolute atheism, they will see in it a source of cruelty, source of great bloody turmoil, when the citizens of all nations will find themselves in a state of forced self-defense in the face of a minority of international revolutionaries. Then they will be prepared to destroy the people who destroy cultures. At that time, we will find that some Christian masses will find theological thoughts. They are aimless and meaningless. These masses thirst for an ideal, thirst for something to which they can direct their worship. It is then that there will come to them the real light Illuminati consisting of pure satanic beliefs that will become an international phenomenon. And that will come as a result of the general reaction to the destruction of the religion of Christ and atheism as well." This is the text. Why are we talking about Weishaupt and Pike at such length? 1. These 2 men have played an important role in the history of Freemasonry, as well as in the history of the entire world. 2. There are some researchers who dispute that Freemasonry was influenced by these 2 men. They argue that Freemasonry has nothing to do with these 2 men. Its aims and principles, however, could not have favored the sinister ideas put forward by Weishaupt and Pike. Reply to those who argue that these 2 men had no influence on Freemasonry. We are of the opinion that to say that these 2 men had no influence on Freemasonry, were of no use and of no value, is an attempt to present Freemasonry in an attractive form, so as to please those who believe in it, and to attract the attention of those who pay attention to its outward form. The reason for this is that no one in this circle of researchers had presented to us the principles, or the true aims of Freemasonry, before they were created by Weishaupt and Pike. We feel strongly that Freemasonry at every stage of its history, however different its assemblies and its origins, has always revealed some things and concealed others, as we shall clearly see in the coming chapter. Even if, for example, we accept all the statements made by these researchers, without disputing them in the least, the reality of Freemasonry itself is a real slap in the face to their words. Anyone who has paid attention to the history of Freemasonry will be able to see how the systems of Freemasonry were mixed with the apparatus of the Illuminati. When the Filmsbad Conference was held in 1782, because of this, the sons of Freemasons in all parts of the world have submitted to the Illuminati and those similar to them, whether consciously or unconsciously. As a reason for what we have stated, the book Unveiling the Secret Veil of Freemasonry, written by Cardinal Cars Rories, Bishop of Santiago, and published in 1925, contains an extensive description of the secret societies that the Illuminati have established at the center of international Freemasonry. In the book, he presents a large number of valid documents, which prove that the heads of Freemasonry themselves, who already possess degrees 32 and 33, still do not know what is happening in the Great Eastern Assemblies, and the new assemblies that Pike has created, namely, the assemblies of the Balladia Way, and the special assemblies that follow them. Here is a letter Mazzini addressed to his assistant, Dr. Bride Genstein, in which he states, "We are organizing an association of brothers scattered in every corner of the globe. We want to break down every barrier. But there is something hidden, which no one feels, even though it weighs heavily on us. Where does this constraint come from? What is it? No one knows about it, or at least, no one has said a word about it. This association is secret, even to ourselves, we who are old experts on secret societies. After knowing all that, can anyone with a mind still justify what the researchers are saying? The nature and principles of Freemasonry. The discussion of the principles of Freemasonry is complex and multifaceted. Many people have written on this subject, both at length and concisely. We will try to explain the broad outlines of these principles as our discussion permits, not so short as to be unclear, and not so long as to be boring. This way we can give the reader a clear picture of the principles. We can state that the attributes and principles of Freemasonry include secrecy and mysticism magic. Before we explain the principles, we must pause briefly on each of these attributes.